in the 1980s, prison population exploded because of more strict policing and because of the war on drugs. Because of this, prison in the U.S. just couldn't fit all the prisoners. At one point, according to some studies, the prison population was actually at 115% of what prisons could actually hold in the U.S. And to fix this, a lot of states decided we need to try and build new prisons, we need to try and make them as cheap as possible. And the way they tried to do this was they turned to the private sector to try and make private prisons and have them operated by private companies. The goal of this was to make the prisons cheap, more efficient, hopefully, through competition, and also to make them hopefully just as humane as the normal prisons. But a lot of these promises failed because of lack of competition and other things. Today I want to talk about some of the issues that private prisons run into and why they might not be everything people would hope in like the 90s and 80s. A lot of the issues with private prisons are that conditions are usually worse than them. The New York Times, which is a big newspaper, everyone's heard of it, reported on a pretty nice microcosm of this in just last year. There's a prison called the East Mississippi Correctional Facility, which was facing a class action lawsuit by the ACLU for having basically inhumane conditions. It's a private prison down there, and the judge, basically some of the things that came up during the case were prisoners who kind of just wandering around during lockdowns, and prison felt like they couldn't control the prisoners in there. Prisoners were fashioning knives, so they felt like they needed to protect themselves because gangs were pretty rampant in the prison. And at some point, a prisoner even set his room on fire so he could try and get medical attention because he was having issues with something and they wouldn't treat him. And this is just issues that a lot of private prisons face because private prisons just inherently, because of the way they're set up, usually are worse because of the I'll explain now. Private prisons, in this city specifically where this prison was located, private prisons have to cost 10% less than a state prison. It's just a law there, and this is from the idea that private prisons are supposed to cost less than the state. The warden, because this cheapness resulted in a lot of policies of the prison that led to these conditions. For instance, the warden at the prison received bonuses every time he keep the prison under budget. It was never penalized for having prisoners die on his watch. Guards at the prison were only paid $12 an hour, which is almost the same as I was paid as a cashier at Giant Eagle, and only got 3 weeks of training before they'd deal with violent prisoners and mentally unstable people. On top of this is some of the issues that they face. So these issues always arise in private prison because they're always trying to cut costs. Usually when stuff like this happens at a private prison, it gets shut down, the contract with the company gets revoked. But there's issues with that as well. In 2015, the same company that owned the East Mississippi prison was had issues in another prison. In the prison, 2 inmates escaped and murdered a couple, and that was pretty bad. The government didn't like that. And a couple months later, there's a riot at the prison, so they decided the company was not fit for this prison. So they gave the company to another company called GEO Group, which had, in 2012, had to lose that prison, the exact same prison, because there's too many gangs in the prison, they couldn't protect inmates. So this is caused by, there's only so many private prison firms in the country, and they're all regional monopolies. And in the country, the state that these prisons was operating in, there's only 2 firms you can choose from. So they had to really switch back and forth between private prisons that couldn't protect their inmates and couldn't provide basic services. On top of all this, private prisons might not even save that much money for states, which is one of the basic, most basic purposes to exist. Private prisons, there's no competition, so one of the main benefits of having a capitalist prison is there's competition between prisons, they might be cheaper in the long run. Because there's the regional monopolies which just switch back and forth, there's never any competition between prisons. Prisons don't try and rehabilitate their inmates because they're incentivized to try and just fit as many in there and cut costs, so they try and help out their prisoners less. Oh, I missed my citation. This was this information for them not being cheaper was provided by the Brookings Institute, which is a Washington think tank, and they study on these things. And a lot of times, because the prisoners aren't really rehabilitated, they usually go back into prison, which costs states more in the long run. So even though prisons, like private prisons, are cheaper to operate by a couple percent, they're usually more expensive in the long run, and because of all these factors. In conclusion, private prisons aren't really that much cheaper, and they're much less humane and much worse in most categories. So it's about time we try and switch from private prisons to more safe and humane, sometimes cheaper public prisons.